Buenos días, buenas tardes y buenas noches. Bonjour, bonsoir. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, wherever you may be. J. Slater case. Video 3 of the day. The first two were dedicated to the story of the Mo Durba acquittal, Tenerife news. This one's a tough one to talk about. Um, it really is a shocker because it reveals, I think, very much the heart and soul, the vile, nasty, cruel heart and soul of so many, so many in the accident group. And it's a difficult one to walk you through. I'll do it as succinctly and as best I can, but it is a shocker. Um, Over on TikTok, there's a group of ladies, foul play group. I'm in touch with one of them, Stargate. You might know Stargate Entertainment. She changed the name of her YouTube channel, but Stargate and I have been in regular contact. And one of Stargate's close friends, Shaz, along with Shami, these are ladies that engage in those TikTok lives, which I avoid. But they do go there. They've had a really rough time of it, being um, verbally accosted and bad mouthed, I mean, to a horrendous degree, by the likes of EP, Luggy, of course, Kaz Alice. And there are some audio clips out there that I might air in due course, just to give you a feel for how horrendous the verbal treatment is from these people. I believe Casalis at some point was so embarrassed by what she had said to poor Shaz. This video is dedicated to Shaz. That Casalis had to apologize and retract what she said. Um, what you have to know about Shaz is that she suffered a horrible tragedy just before Christmas of 2025, 21st of December 2025. She lost her son in a road accident in Scotland. And rather than go through the details, you can find it yourself. It's still up there, BBC. If you go to www.bbc.com news, 21st December 2025, the headline is tells you what you need to know. Driver killed after country road crash near Kelso up in Scotland. As I said in my post, and I've just put up a post about this, on justiceforj.com. As I said, I mean, you can't imagine. That's what I said. It's unimaginable in that situation what grief Shaz has had to endure just before Christmas, losing her son like that. Now, you would have thought that a grieving mother like Shaz would have been treated as befits a grieving mother, because all we hear from the accident group is Debbie Duncan must be treated as a grieving mother and nothing but a grieving mother. In my book, Debbie Duncan is both a grieving mother and I've never attacked her for being a grieving mother. I've attacked her for being a deceiving mother as well as a grieving mother. It's the deceit that we have had from Debbie Duncan that's the problem. The grieving part, obviously. But in Shaz's case, I can see nothing else but a 100% grieving mother. And yet, when Shaz ventured onto Lord Lugworm's comment section, and I do urge you to go there, it's very rare for me to say I recommend you go to Lord Lugworm's YouTube channel and look through the comments there, look through them on this latest post, and you will see how some, I say some, not all, some of the accident group talk to Shaz. Now, before I get to the horror message, let me just say that one or two of the comments from the accident group do convey the sensitivity needed in discussing matters with Shaz, that her grief is recognized. For example, let me pull up the comment section of that Lord Lugworm post. And Lady Delaval uh, Lady Delaval has picked up that Shaz is, the grieving mother that suffered that tragedy just before Christmas. And Lady Delaval says, is this the lady who suffered her own personal tragic loss? Question mark. If so, I'd hope people just leave this one be. When the suffering of others is unimaginable, there should be no more put on them. People can't change the past, but we can all do better today. Now, the reason I used to think Lady Delaval was Thomas the terrible, Thomas the wanker, Thomas from Seaton Delaval. But given, as far as I can see, that Thomas has no heart and is the very dregs of morality and society, now hearing Lady Delaval say those what seem to be very sensitive and sensible words together, I don't think that is Thomas. But anyway, Lady Delaval, whoever you are, I think you phrased that very well. However, Bumblebeat, that nasty piece of work from Tarifa in Spain, came out with this. Bumblebeat said, God, and this is talking about Shaz, grieving mother Shaz that's been through it all since just before Christmas. Bumblebeat said, God, she's a mega nasty troll. Her, quote, tragedy was probably invented. Fishing for info by trying to provoke people won't work. And one of those crying with laughter faces and a thumbs up. Wow. Now, I just want to pause on this. Her tragedy was probably invented. When you're dealing with a tragedy like this, there's no need to use the word probably. You really need to find out if the tragedy is true or not. And Ivor Lovelace knows it's true. Kaz Alice knows it's true. Everyone out there that knows and has heard about Shaz's tragedy knows it's true. As I said, you click on the BBC news item link there, you can see it's real. There's no doubt about it. Shaz is a grieving mother. But Bumblebeat still needs to be the tragedy troll that she is and rub pain, rub salt into the wounds for Shaz there. Why? Because in Bumblebeat's mind, Shaz is just a troll. The grieving mother part of it suddenly evaporates. It has no consequence for Bumblebeat. She has to badmouth the grieving mother and say that it's probably all made up. Although, like I say, she could have checked with any one of her great friends in the accident group. She could have even read what Lady Delaval said and reacted accordingly. She didn't. And so the call out of the day in this video is that nastiest and most horrendously insensitive harpy, the absolute dregs of morality, which is Bumblebeat Bea Mondo. That comment she wrote about probably an invented tragedy was so bad that even Lord Lugworm himself, Ivor Lovelace, had to remove it from his own comments. There's plenty of other horror comments there. That's why I urge you to go to Lord Lugworm's comments section of his last post and just read some of them through. There are plenty of others that have commented horrendously towards the grieving mother Shaz. But the worst of the worst, and of course Bumblebeat hasn't come back to say she apologizes. She doesn't apologize. Because with Bumblebeat, there's only one grieving mother that matters, and that is Debbie Duncan. Any other grieving matter deserves absolute verbal punishment and attack. It is not the grieving mother situation that bothers Bumblebeat. What bothers Bumblebeat is that the one grieving mother of importance, Debbie Duncan, must be hallowed ground. Any other grieving mother, especially someone that reflects our point of view in the foul play group, is open to vile, nasty, horrendous abuse. That much is clear. That's why her comment was removed. But interesting that we have had no apology, and I don't think we will ever get one from Bumblebeat. As I say, one of the reasons I have a particular dislike for Kaz Alice is because Stargate has forwarded me some comments, and I know there's audio out there that I need to listen to that is truly shocking. And we are approaching a vacuum period here. I said after the petition is over, May the 4th, we can't expect Debbie to be doing any sofa surfing. She might, but I don't know what she's going to be saying. So we are going through this vacuum period coming up, I think, where a lot of these kind of issues, exactly who forms the accident group, what are their true sentiments, we may have time to explore some of that. And some of you might think this is not focusing on the Jay Slater case. I think it is. I think there's a part of me that says a lot of this very nasty, aggressive, um, attacking behavior from the accident group is because they could well be involved in that kind of world. The background to the Jay Slater case, the narco world where Jay just disappears and it has to be an accident, no other explanation is allowed. I think there are certain members of that accident group that are connected to that world, and the more we examine them and put them under the spotlight, the better. It doesn't mean we turn to the accident group and just look at them. But I think some of them certainly need to be put under the microscope. And we also, of course, need to go into many, many more details, which I intend to do in the next month. There are still many things that I want to explore in connection with the case. Notably, I think we haven't really talked about, for example, the two telephones that Jay had. We've talked about one telephone, the other one seems to be unmentioned and seems to be irrelevant, but I think it's highly relevant. Um, yeah, there are many, many things we need to still explore in this case, but looking into who these accident group harpies and trolls, tragedy trolls, and absolute devils that they are, yeah, that is something that I think should be done as well. Okay, like I say, I haven't gone into a lot of detail on this, but I think if you just have a quick read through of the comments on Lord Lugworm's latest post, you'll get a feeling for how vitriolic, venomous, toxic, nasty these people are. But no one has quite matched the very, very base level of Bumblebeat, saying to a grieving mother whose son died just before Christmas, "You're probably making it up." Wow. All right, on that sad note, I will leave this one to say hasta luego, adios. But more on this subject, on this particular matter, more to come. Hasta luego y adios.